Thanks a lot, Lloyd. Well, for sure, it's Friday, and we're excited to
Friday,
hear
and
what
rainy Friday.
So we're excited to hear, I guess, the conclusion of your series this week, Women in Policing. What's your story going to be about this morning?
We are going to speak once again with Superintendent Rochelle Deleveaux. She is in charge of the forensic department. But we're going to go deeper inside the department this morning. We're going to go and find out just what is done here, what is their role when persons go on the crime scenes and stuff like that. And you'll be surprised to know some of the things that is done in this little small area of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. The Scientific Support Services section of the force is where most of the behind-the-scenes but crucial element of crime solving happens. Superintendent Rochelle Deleveaux is director of this area.
Work hand in hand with the Criminal Investigation Department, as well as the Drug Enforcement Unit, to assist them with their investigations. We have numerous units in the lab. We have the biology unit, the chemistry unit, the firearms unit, a toxicology unit, IT unit, and an evidence control unit. Most of our units are concerned with analyzing evidence that's collected at crime scenes, whether it be fired evidence in a firearms case, whether it be blood evidence at a crime scene, or even in the case of a person who was the victim of a traffic fatality, blood evidence from a postmortem. And we analyze it, and we then present our findings in court, whether it's Magistrate Court, Supreme Court, Coroner's Court, as well as courts in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and we also do some analysis, firearms cases for St. Lucia.
It's a very small department, but one that is like the brain of the force.
Approximately 30 persons work here, and right now it's a mixture of police officers as well as civilians. We have civilians in the capacity of clerical staff, as well as we have civilians who are analysts. And of course, we have police officers ranging from my rank down to a constable. When we are interested in recruiting persons, there are certain things we're looking for. First of all, the person has to have a bachelor's degree, a bachelor of science degree. We are primarily right now interested in persons with chemistry, a chemistry or math background. So they have to have a degree from university, and they also have to have good grades. Having a degree is not enough. You have to have really good grades as well, because once persons are transferred into the lab, they undergo an in-house training program, and that, at the end of the day, will allow them to analyze evidence and give testimony in court. So they have to be at a high standard in order to be able to take on the rigors of the whole court process, and it also ensures that we get the best we can out of the evidence that we have access to.
With ways to solve crime changing every day, the Scientific Support Service is crucial.
Well, I think we are extremely important, because right now the persons out there who are breaking laws, they're getting more inventive. We can't rely on the old methods of investigating crimes. We have to take a little step further. We work really closely with the investigators, and we try to provide any assistance we can. Now, our analysis is independent. Whatever we do as forensic scientists, it has to be based on what we find. So we don't go and cherry pick and decide, okay, well, does this fit this scenario or not? No. Wherever the evidence leads us is where we go. And in that way, we're very independent. Let's say there's a theory as to how something occurred, and our evidence shows different. We will tell them, okay, this is what actually occurred based on what we found.
So much delicate materials to handle and dissect. Safety is of major concern.
We get samples in, biological samples especially, from individuals. We know no history of the individuals. We don't know what they may have. We have to be safe in everything we do. So one of the first things we do when persons come into the lab is, through the training process, we go through safety. We have a safety officer, and they go through the process of what needs to be done, and in cases of an incident, what procedures to follow. So that's the first thing we do. We kind of drum safety in from the beginning, and then the individual goes through the training. That's even more reinforced, specifically as it relates to that particular unit.
Not the one who normally goes out on the scene. In the end, it still ends up in the Scientific Support Services.
In certain circumstances, the investigator may require us to go on the scene to assist them with something that may be a little challenging, that they may need advice on, whether it's bloodstain analysis or, in the case of firearm trajectory analysis, they will call us out and we'll go out. But in the past, we used to go a lot more. But now that the crime scene investigation unit is really well staffed and they're well trained, we don't go out as much.
One department, many different sections.
The chemists at the lab work really closely with the Drug Enforcement Unit. They're concerned with the analysis of suspected controlled substances. They also are concerned with the analysis of debris from fires, as well as the examination of trace evidence, for example, paint, glass. The biology unit, well, they actually analyze evidence for body fluids, and specifically DNA. The other unit, toxicology, deals with the analysis of poisons or substances in body fluids. We do drug screens for the police force and the defense force when persons are being recruited or when persons are re-engaging. We also do analysis on post-mortem samples, whether it's a serious crime like a murder or traffic fatality.
Now, next week, we'll wrap things up with the Assistant Commissioner of Police, the first ever female, Ismaila Davis Delancey, so that should be interesting. And I heard you and Kushla and Kayla laughing when I started off my church story with the scripture. I'm very scripture, really. I was brought up in a very holy house. So when
last did you go to church for sure?
Before COVID, the week before
What's that
COVID.